Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as I give you an end of May garden tour. So let's go. The garden is popping with color. I can't wait to show you how it's looking. So let's go ahead and take a tour. We're going to start on the south side of my house because this is where I get the most amount of sun in my yard. Let's head down towards this corner little nook here. This is what you see when you come up my driveway on the right-hand side. And up along this trellis is a beautiful clematis. You can see it's vining. And as we head down the trellis, there are a couple of buds on here that I'm noticing. So it's really just a matter of time before we start seeing some beautiful blooms. And if you'll recall, I really cut this back hard in the springtime because I'm not quite sure what kind of clematis I have. This is the year though. When it's blooming, I'm just going to use my phone and I'm going to use the app that tells me what kind of clematis I have. I'll make a note of it and I'll probably just add a tag at the base of it. I'll put a link to this trellis down in the description below in case you're interested. It looks like metal, but actually it's plastic, but it's been very sturdy, and for the price point, I'm very pleased with it. I'm using these little green clips here, and I got these from the Dollar Tree. They're perfect for keeping the clematis on the trellis. At the base of the clematis cage is a fringed bleeding heart. I really do love this plant. I talk about it in every video, and it's looking so lush, so glorious. It's out here in the sun, and what I tell a lot of people is what's nice about this particular type of bleeding heart is that it does well in shade, it does well in sun, and it blooms spring, summer, and fall. And I also love it for the bluish green foliage that's on there that look like little ferns. My begonias that I planted recently are not looking the best. We've had some really weird weather, and the irrigation is now running, so that should help it because first it was very wet, and then it's become dry. We've had some really cold days as well. So I'm hopeful they should bounce back. I'll definitely keep you posted. I don't see why they won't. They just look a little tired right now. They've been through a lot, poor little guys. And towards the back, I have a couple of dwarf iris that have already gone by. And then peeking through is a woodland phlox. It's very cute. It's a native here in New Hampshire. They prefer to be in more of a shade situation, so this is an experiment to see how they do here this year. And then right behind all of that, well, you can see it, the peonies are about to burst. Look at all the buds. They are just such a beautiful flower. I love peonies so much, and I can't wait until they bloom so I can show you how pretty they are. I just want to step back a little bit so you can see everything that's going on in this bed. So I also have the fringed bleeding heart on the other side of the bed as well. And it's looking very beautiful. In the center of this bed is some sort of a hydrangea. I don't know the variety, but for many years it had gone wild. It did not look good. So in the spring, Mr. Budget Gardener and I went after it and we cut it back super hard. So now I see that there's opportunity at the base of it. I don't know, I might have to put something that likes shade. Maybe as the hydrangea gets bigger, it'll have some shade at the base of it. I need to think about that a little bit more. As we head in this direction, there are a bunch of daylilies in here. They are the Stella d'Oro daylilies. They're going to be a nice, beautiful yellow color flower, and they're reblooming as long as I deadhead them. I have another clematis over here. It's never bloomed for me. I'm really hoping this is the year that it puts on a show. As many of you know, I like to step back in my garden spaces and I like to see what's going on. Where is there color? Where is color lacking? And in this particular flower bed, there's not a lot of color right now. It's something that I'm really working hard on this year. Why this particular flower bed? I think it's because this is what I see when I come and leave my house. I notice this flower bed the most. And since it's pretty much full sun, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity here for me since much of my yard is shade. I have struggled with whether or not I should keep the lungwort, also known as pulmonaria, in this flower bed. As you may know, it prefers shade, and out here it's getting a lot more sun. I love this plant in the springtime because when not much else is blooming in this area, the lungwort's putting on a great show. So I'm still trying to decide. I'm on the fence on whether or not I should remove it or if I should just leave it here, knowing that it's not going to look that great during the summer months. You can see right nearby there's a proven winter pot, but it's not a proven winter plant. It's a beautiful iris. I looked on my phone to see the name of it, so I'm going to pop it up on the screen. I'm almost sure I know the name of this iris. But regardless, it's so pretty. I don't know where I got it from. Well, I do know where I got it from. It was down in my plant nursery. But I don't know where I got it from prior to that. My guess is either from my friend Linda in her backyard plant nursery, or I had it in my backyard and I dug it up and I put it out here. So I'm not sure about the story, but nevertheless, I was waiting for my iris to bloom, and when they bloom, if I don't have that iris in my yard, you better believe I'm going to take it and put it in my own yard. And the best part about doing something like that is I really didn't know where I wanted to put these. Well, now I do, because this will add a nice pop of color here, and you can imagine as those iris multiply, how nice it's going to look having a whole bunch of these iris in this flower bed. The flower bed does have other plants in here that are going to pop later in the season, such as black-eyed Susan or Rebecca, as well as echinacea or purple coneflower. There's even a small rose tucked in here. And then there are a whole bunch of peonies that again are budded up and will be blooming for us. One thing I'm noticing about some of my peonies are that the bunches are quite large. They actually should be divided. So I say it every year, but I really would like to divide some of my peonies this year. Right behind the peonies is the beautiful Miss Kim lilac, or it's a type of Korean lilac. Very, very pretty. Look how delicate the flowers are. And I want you to notice the leaves. They're just like a very small little leaf on this type of lilac. It's not really a tree. I would call it more of a shrub or a bush. Once it's done blooming, I'm planning to come in here and cut it back pretty hard. I want it to have more of a compact habit instead of these wispy tall pieces that are coming out of it. But for now, we might as well enjoy the blooms. Tucked in right next to it is the old-fashioned bleeding heart. Now, this is the bleeding heart that I think most of you are familiar with. And this is the bleeding heart that quite a few people seem to have in their gardens, which why not, right? It's just such a beautiful plant. I really love just how delicate it is. So pretty. Even though this flower bed is fairly narrow in certain areas, it's actually quite long. I really do enjoy that because I feel like I can be creative. And I do love to be creative in my gardens. We have another beautiful peony over here. And then right near it is the oxeye Shasta daisy. This particular Shasta daisy can get a little wild. If it drops its seeds, you can end up with a ton of the plants everywhere. But what I like about it is that it does look a little wild. And sometimes in such a formal space, it's nice to have a little wild, I feel. And I also like that it's blooming right now, which it's blooming pretty early. Once it's done blooming, I will be coming in here and I will be deadheading it. I don't want it to drop its seeds. And I'm hopeful it should put on another flush. So I'll be cutting it back pretty hard actually, probably by about 50%. You can see, in fact, that it's starting to get a little bit leggy. So it would benefit from being cut back really hard. I'll do that as soon as it puts out its first flush of blooms. And you can see I placed another one of those beautiful iris right here. So just imagine next year when the oxeye Shasta daisy are blooming, I should also have this beautiful iris blooming at the same time. And I think those two colors right there complement each other very nicely. And if you couple those colors with the color of the lilac in the background there, I think that's a lot of nice color happening now in this bed. In fact, let's look at it from this angle. We have the pink of the old-fashioned bleeding heart. We also have the Korean lilac, which is light purple. Then we have the dark purple of that iris. and then the white of the oxeye Shasta daisy. I think those complement each other beautifully. You'll notice towards the back of the bed, I actually have a number of the Korean lilacs. My hope is once I cut them back hard, that in future years, they will actually be much taller than the bleeding heart and much taller than the peonies. And if that doesn't happen, that's fine too. You can still see the colors popping through in the background there. If you ever notice ants on your peonies, don't be alarmed. They are not harming your peonies. They just want a little snack. But they are perfectly fine. It's totally normal to have ants all over your peony buds. I wanted to bring you down to this angle right here. We'll just take a tour of all the flower buds of the peonies, of the oxeye Shasta daisy. Literally within a week, all of these will be bursting in color. And I think it's going to look really pretty having that white oxeye Shasta daisy blooming at the same time as my peonies. And don't worry, I'll definitely do another garden tour because I want you to see everything bursting in color. So many of the plants repeat themselves in this flower bed. I didn't go over every single plant in here. I'd rather wait until things are blooming. See where the lawn ends and the gravel begins? I kind of feel like that is a separate flower bed over there. I am planning on working on this. I'm hoping this week. I really want to make some changes in here. Nothing major, but I do need to make changes. The last garden tour I had a bunch of brush here. I burned it yesterday. Took me all day, but it's done. So now I can get in here and do some work. I also have a bunch of annuals, and I may tuck in some annuals out in this flower bed just to have color all season long. We'll see. But at a minimum, I need to come in here and I need to just move around some plants and divide some plants. And I'll probably bring you along and show you my thought process on why I'm doing what I'm doing. So be on the lookout for that video. I haven't really shown you this angle right here. I have a bunch of raised beds. I had 5, I now have 3 because 2 of them got moved. I have to tell you, I never came in here and cleaned up my strawberry patch, as you can see. I never fertilized my strawberries. And I feel like the garden is so forgiving, isn't it? It still wants to just give, even if sometimes we don't give it the attention and love that it deserves and needs. So you can see that the alpine strawberries, now these are not the ones I started from seed during the winter. These are ones that I started from seed probably, I'd say 3 or 4 years ago. They're packed. And I can't wait to start snacking on these. And then we have some blueberry bushes that are in the middle here. It's a little too late in the season. I'd like to come in here at some point and redo this whole area, but not for this year. So the garden will just have to wait. A few of you have asked me about the winter sowing and what am I doing with them and can I do a winter sowing tour? I think what I'm probably going to do is start showing you my process for 1 milk jug at a time. I think that that's just more realistic for me with everything else I have going on versus opening all of them and moving them all around the yard. What do you think? Would you be interested in that? Let me know. We could just tackle 1 milk jug and what I'm going to do with it. And that wouldn't be the whole video, but it could be part of a video. Or maybe we do a few. I just don't think it's realistic to do all of them. So I'm going past all of this area here. There's just a lot happening here. There are raspberries in the center of this raised bed, and then more strawberries. And these are a larger variety of strawberry. I don't remember the kind, but you can see they look very happy. Again, they are forgiving. They are forgiving me for not taking care of them. And in the other raised bed are more of the larger kind of strawberries. I've pulled a bunch out. I've sold them as part of my backyard plant nursery. And then there are raspberries as well as blueberries inside of that bed as well. I didn't like doing this, but I had to do it. I had to dig up all my asparagus. I hope it lives. Fingers crossed. It's temporary. but I had to do it in order to accommodate some raised beds that are in the backyard. I'll be showing you that in the future video pretty soon. I see you, little strawberry, in my gravel. Ooh, I can't wait till that one turns red. You know, I really should have started the tour over here. I think it would have been more impactful. This garden bed right now is my favorite. And you can see why. Towards the front, there are white dianthus. Many people say dianthus are an annual. You know, there are different dianthus out there. Sweet William is a type of dianthus, but that's a biennial. So it blooms its second year. But lots of the dianthus that you buy, even if it says it's an annual, what I say is plant it. Just plant it and see what happens. I noticed I have a couple of patches that have died out, which is not typical. That doesn't usually happen. And at this point, I'm not worrying about it. And that's why, you know, it's a little uneven on this side. And right here, this is also a type of dianthus. It's called cheddar pink. And look at the color of the foliage. It's like a bluish green color. And you can see that it's much taller than the other dianthus, which is why I placed it where I placed it. But isn't that such a beautiful sight? I love it so much. I have videos on how to divide many plants, including dianthus. I will link some of them down in the description below, but you can also do a search on my channel if you're interested on how to divide a plant, because after all, that's how I have as many plants as I have. I started off with one plant that was white, one plant that was this hot pink color, and then one plant that was this light pink color. And it's taken me maybe 6-7 years to make this type of pattern. It's totally doable. I have Joe Pieweed. That blooms later in the summer, but it's starting to emerge. You can see it. I had made a video on perennial mums and cutting them back and taking cuttings. I made the video partially because there are a lot of you that live in warmer zones, so you want to be doing that sooner than later. But I need to do it too. So I'm hoping to tackle that next week. Even if I don't take all cuttings and try to root them, I just need to come in here and hack that back by 30 to 50%. I have a lot of opportunity in this open space here. I'm going to be coming in here and packing it with annuals that I started from seed, which will be great because within a matter of weeks, unfortunately, all this beautiful color that you see towards the front will be gone. And then, yes, the peonies will be blooming as well, but there will be a lull in this flower bed. And that's where those annuals will come into play. I just want to step back right here and just show you how pretty this looks. I love the yellow of the pansies that have self-seeded. As some of you know, I have a pansy holding bed, and I must have planted some of these pansies here last year. And I'm making a mental note that I need to come back and plant some more yellow pansies in here. Because how pretty would that be, just to add that little pop of yellow. I want to bring you into this very striking plant. You know how it is with perennials. They only bloom for such a short period of time, and we really need to enjoy it while they are blooming. This is false indigo or baptisia. And when these beautiful blooms go by, it's going to look like little peas, little legumes. And I'll show you that once the blooms go by. But until then, this is very striking. This baptisia is just a seedling that had dropped here. I'm letting it stay. It's happy. It has quite the extensive taproot, so there's no use in me moving it. And it's just content being in here. And I love the color of it when you couple it with the color of the dianthus. It's definitely been work in progress. dividing and moving this dianthus around. I want to say it's only been 2 years that this side of dianthus has been here. So it really has filled in. I can't stress that enough. I say it a lot in my videos. Divide and move, divide and move. That's the name of the game. And I look at this and I think, oh, wouldn't this look really pretty if I divided it and moved some of it over there? But, you know, there's something also to be said about just keeping a certain bed looking at this a certain way. So I don't think so. I think I'll just leave them here. The one thing I would like to do, though, is divide more of the cheddar pink dianthus, and I'd like to move some of it on this side just to complete the pattern going all the way around. And then I also have some candytuft that's gone by. And what I could do is I could take out some of the candytuft from here and also move some of that along. Because I love how this flower bed is not huge, it's big enough, but how I can try to divide and move plants just so that there's a little bit of a pattern going on in here. I'm going to pop up on the screen how this small-leafed rhododendron looked like when it was blooming. It was so striking. Last year I had asked some of you, what do you think? Should I pull it or should I keep it? Because I was thinking of pulling it and moving it somewhere else in my yard because it's such a beast. I used to, for many years, tame the beast and cut it back. Anyway, Mr. Budget Gardener, as well as my daughter, they really want me to keep it here. And I know a few of you said to keep it. Some of you said to move it. So here's the compromise. We're going to keep it. The birds would like me to keep it because they love to go in there and then go use the bird bath and then come back here and flutter around. We're going to keep it. However, I'm going to be coming in pretty soon and cutting it back really hard. If you have any spring blooming shrub or bush and it's already gone by, you want to cut it back or prune it now. You don't want to wait. You want to prune it right after it's done blooming. So I'll be coming in here and cutting this back by at least 1/3, if not a half. So when I do prune that back, that's just going to open up more opportunity over here as well as on the other side of the bed. And you guessed it, I'm going to be planting a whole bunch more of the annuals that I started from seed in there. And I want to show you the hosta that I placed under here. I believe it was last year. Might have been 2 years ago. I love how it looks there. I like tucking hosta around trees and shrubs at the base of them. So I think that adds a nice little pop of color under here. I was so busy talking about the dianthus, I forgot to mention the peonies. We can't forget about the peonies. There are peonies in this area as well, and you can see that it is all budded up. We had put together some container pots and window boxes together. Here's a quick update. Remember I mentioned it's been kind of cool and wet. The leaves don't look great. I think one of you mentioned the same thing happened with your geraniums. I have full faith they're going to bounce right back. I think they still look pretty, so we just need to give them time. And I'll link the video down in the description if you missed it when we put this together. And I'll also link the video for these guys when we put these together. They'll be going up soon off my bedroom balcony once I power wash it. I don't want to bring them up there until the power washing is done. But I'm very pleased with how these container pots came out. I love putting container pots together on a budget, using just materials that I have or plants that I started from seed. Here is the old arborvitae bed. This happens every year. As soon as I plant all the annuals, they kind of fizzle. They're not very happy, but they then take off once we get the heat. We just haven't had the heat. So we just need to be patient, and this area will be beautiful in no time. You know that saying, Rome wasn't built in a day? Well, flower beds weren't built in a day either. I try to tell myself that. Just have some patience and good things will come to those who wait. And I just want you to see what the other side looks like. And as we leave the old arborvitae bed, we're now heading towards my backyard, and this is my main hosta garden. I do have hosta in other areas of my yard, But this is the primary place where I just pack in a ton of hosta. And you can see they are loving life in here. They're waking up. I believe it was last year. It was either the last year or 2 years when I came in here. I noticed I didn't have a lot of larger leaf hosta in the back, and I noticed I didn't have a lot of blue colored hosta. So I just took hosta from my yard, I divided them, and I moved them around. I'm almost sure like this one here, I divided it and moved it around back there. What I'll do also is I'll pop up on the screen what this area looks like when you're looking down from my bedroom balcony. It just gives you a different vantage point. But it's an area I really enjoy. I love packing hosta in here. And you can see I also like to put hosta around the base of the trees here. I believe this is called Lakeside Zinger. I'm not that familiar, to be honest with you, with all the hosta names, because most of these hosta were just small pieces that I got from friends or family. Very few hosta were hosta that I bought. We had also put together these hanging baskets, and they're looking pretty good. We have a perennial here, and that's lamium. We have creeping jenny, and then we have some impatiens that we started from seed. Again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, I'm sorry. It's been cold. It hasn't been that hot. So things are just starting to pop. But they're still looking pretty. I'm thankful for adding this element right here. I think that adds a nice pop right now while we wait. And just showing you the hosta from this angle. We're just heading down. I feel like you're with me. We're just walking in the backyard. This little nook right here, I love this. There are a bunch of different colored heuchera, lots of heuchera that I just don't have elsewhere in my yard. And I tucked them in here because I wanted this area to just pop with color. And I think it does. I think it does pop. You can see we have some Japanese painted fern. There's also some epimedium. It's definitely more like a woodland garden out here. There are also heucheras or lenten rose. And then towards the back are a bunch of lungwort or pulmonaria. Lots of great plants here for the shade. We have some ligularia, the bottle rocket ligularia. And then there's also the goat's beard. And you can actually see that the goat's beard is just budded up. So maybe by our next garden tour, it will be blooming for us. I also have tucked in here, you can see the little pink flowers, fringed bleeding heart. And I'm making a note to myself that I definitely want to add more of the fringed bleeding heart out in this woodland type garden. The little white flowers that you see in the distance, that's tiarella or foam flower. It's just starting to go by. It looked so pretty a few weeks ago when it was blooming. I want you to just see how striking the leaves are on this plant. It really is a beautiful plant. If you have a shady area, definitely consider it for your yard. As we head in this direction here, and we just can kind of look back at the hosta garden, there are some other really pretty things in here. I have a fern that is a maidenhair fern. I got it for free. I dug it up from an area where my mother-in-law used to just throw a bunch of things, and other people too, like, yard waste. So one man's junk is another man's treasure, I guess. I don't think it was my mother-in-law's. I'm not sure whose it was, but regardless, it's mine now. I love it. And I also have these beautiful pink flowers, and if you look at the base, it's a type of heuchera or coral bells. And it's one of the first coral bells to bloom for me. So I really enjoy the spray of pink flowers that we get this time of year. And I love how it looks next to the heuchera and the white flowers that you see there. You'll see that I have this red colored heuchera, and I don't know the kind or variety. I got a small piece of it from my mother-in-law's, but it's one that basically it seeds itself. I don't have many heuchera that do that, but this one does seed itself. So I've taken them and I've moved them along in here. I like how I have that burgundy red color in this flower bed because there's a lot of green happening here. And then we have a little bit of the blue from the hosta, but then we also have the red of this heuchera. And I just think it lends very nicely with all the other colors that you see here. Last year I sold a ton of my columbine. I feel bad I didn't save a bunch of them. I should have. I'm missing them now, but it's okay. I still have some left. This one's going by. It was a beautiful purple color. And I have a few more towards the back here that didn't bloom this year. So over time they will bloom and they'll fill in this back part of the bed. Towards the front of this flower bed, where the lawn ends and where this flower bed begins, is a really pretty little ground cover. It's actually a dwarf variety of a goat's beard. And in fact, you can see that they are budded up, and hopefully by our next garden tour, they should be blooming. I showed you in the spring my bloodroot when it was blooming. And I had mentioned at that time that once the blooms go by, the leaves basically elongate. And I want you to see just how they look right now. I feel that they look so beautiful in this woodland garden. So a couple of things that I'd like to do when it comes to editing my garden. That hosta that we have around that tree there, well, I started putting some around this tree and I never finished. So I just need to divide some of the hosta and I want to finish putting it around this tree. And even that tree over there, I'd like to put more towards the back of the tree. And then we have a tree over here. I'd like to put some around this tree. It really is work in progress when it comes to things like that. Some of you have been very kind and you've said that when it comes to my flower beds, I place things in a way that, they're strategically placed. But I have to tell you, it takes time, just constantly looking at the flower beds and thinking about how I want to do it. Like, for example, these little guys right here, I'd like to divide each piece, even though they're not very big, divide each piece in half. I'd prefer to do it this year. Come in here and just finish that pattern. The question is, where does that pattern stop? Because the yard just keeps going. I think for me, what I would like to do is have that pattern continue, but then basically just stop right here. The reason is because I need to come in and start weeding this whole area here and working on all of this area. And that can just be a whole separate new bed. So that's what I'm planning to do. The other thing I'm thinking of doing is, see the lime green heuchera that I have here? And I put them in between the reddish color heuchera. I love the way that they play together. I love that chartreuse color next to the red. And the one thing I want to mention, if we head back this way, is we have hosta here instead, in between the two red heuchera. And the deer do come this far and this far. They don't touch my hosta garden up there, but they will nibble on these ones here. I'd rather just come in here, divide each of those heuchera pieces, maybe in half, and then just place them in between the red heuchera. There's not much happening at my rock wall. I'm continuing to think about this really hard and what I want to do here. One of my biggest challenges with this area is the seed that comes from the lawn. If the lawn goes to seed at any point, at any little area of it, it ends up going into my creeping phlox. And I love creeping phlox. I think it's such a pretty thing to put on a rock wall. But dealing with the grass that comes in it is just not worth it. Also, if it rains really hard, sometimes we have runoff and it just kind of falls down the wall there and it doesn't look very good. So I need to think really hard about what I'm going to do with this space because I do want it to look really nice. Maybe the answer is just rip everything out of here and put annuals in here. I don't know. If you have any suggestions, let me know. There is a type of sedum that's at the base here, and it's quite aggressive. It's pretty, but it definitely takes over. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm not going to point out a whole lot in the back here because this is work in progress. We all have work in progress inside of our homes, outside of our homes. So I have been coming into this space right here, and I've been shopping my yard, or I've been digging out plants that I can sell as part of my plant nursery. There is a primrose in here that looks beautiful. I only have it right here in my yard, nowhere else. So I will be shopping my yard and digging that up. I also have some beautiful variegated Solomon seal. And you can see that some of them have blooms on them, but most of the blooms have already gone by. There are actually a lot of great plants in this area. And the way that I do my flower beds is I come in and I just empty out a whole entire flower bed. And I start from scratch. So one day, probably not this year, but we'll see. That's my plan for this area. The lamium, in case you're wondering, yes, it spreads. You need to keep lamium in check if you have it in your yard. It's pretty, but it does spread. I never cut back this clematis, so I need to remember to do that. But it does have a lot of buds on it, so it will look really pretty when it does bloom. This was more of a pink colored columbine, but it's starting to go by, so it looks more of a white color now. And a beautiful purple colored columbine. In my weedy backyard, there is a lot of beauty. I have to show you it. I can't not show you it. And all of these plants can get moved if I want them to while I empty out a bed. This is beauty bush, and I had gotten just a small piece of it from my mother-in-law's because her beauty bush had like a bunch of little babies at the bottom, and you can see that it's all budded up. When it's done blooming, I need to be really good though about coming in here and really giving it a good cut back. Right near it is a beautiful bridal wreath spirea. I showed you one in a previous video that had more of an upright habit. I love that one, but I also love this one as well. This one came from my husband's grandmother's home. And it's just so pretty. And here's another beautiful columbine. I have columbine in a number of areas of my yard. I just need to dig them up and at a minimum move them or even pot them up. And the reason is because of these beds where I will eventually be working on them. I have to show you them because this is reality gardening. Okay, so let's head across the back lawn here. We're going to go this way. It's good to show you the good, bad, and the ugly. There is a red Japanese maple tucked in the back here. I'd like to move it actually because you don't really see it. I also have another red Japanese maple that is down over here. They were just little seedlings that came from my mother-in-law's home. This whole flower bed here will be seeing a change, so stay tuned. You can see in the center, we've started. We're letting it rest, but we have started. There are some beautiful things towards the back of it. I'll bring you in a minute so you can see what's there. The peonies that are in here, and there's a whole row of them, they're not happy. I think I put them in too deep. And they really deserve to shine. There are a lot of peonies in here. They came from either my parents, some of them I bought, some came from my mother-in-law's. There are a whole bunch of beautiful daylilies. And then towards the front, some beautiful daffodils as well as weeds. I really need to do some work in this area. This is where I had a raised bed, and we pulled out the raised bed, and then we put in these metal raised beds. And you can see that we haven't filled them yet. So be on the lookout. I'll be making a video soon where we're planting these up, and you can see there's some cardboard going in the center here. Lots of work happening. I'm not too late though. Even though it's almost the beginning of June, it's been cold, it's been wet. So in New Hampshire, it's not too late to be planting up our gardens, our vegetable gardens. But I have a lot of space to do some fun stuff here. Towards the front of this bed are a whole bunch of coral bells or heuchera. And I've started digging some of them out because I'm going to be working on this space and redoing this space. So I'll be coming in here and I'll be moving some of my coral bells because you know me, I love to divide and move. I have a whole bunch of hosta tucked in towards the back. There's a whole bunch of beautiful things in here. So there will be a lot of changes happening in this area. This year, this is my goal, to work on this space in this area and really get it buttoned up. I wanted to show you, these were, again, they were just little suckers that I got from my mother-in-law's home of the Korean lilac. Look how pretty that is. I have one here. And what I'd like to do with these is actually I'd like to move them down that way more, where my flower beds are more finished. Even if I don't move this whole thing, I can always take some suckers off the bottom. And I can do the same with other, oh, I just smelled this. Oh my goodness, it just smells so good. I love the smell of lilac. Sorry, I just had to, I got distracted. Here is another Korean lilac over here. I noticed they really stand out ever since we put the wood chips down. It's amazing. They never used to stand out before. But yeah, there's a lot of really pretty things in here that are going to get moved. Here is a small leaf rhododendron that does not like it here. It does not bloom. It's not happy. So I'll be coming in and just moving these guys to an area where they can put on more of a beautiful show. At least, the big thing is, at least they've lived. They're not dead. And I can start shopping my yard, which I like to do, and move things around. This is the other kind of spirea that bloomed earlier in the season, the bridal wreath spirea, the one I told you that's more upright. So it's all done blooming. As we look around the corner here, in this area that we're going to tackle together, this hosta, it's called golden tiara. It grows so fast. If you're looking for a hosta that grows fast, then this is the one for you. It's very striking, actually. I planted it here kind of temporarily, but it does look pretty. There's quite a bit in here. And I also temporarily planted in here a bunch of foam flower or tiarella. What I want you to notice is, look at the leaves on there. They're not as striking as the ones that were in the woods, and that's because this area is getting more sun because we had trees cut down. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to certain plants. If you give them sun and they prefer shade, they might get a little washed out. The rose garden is still waking up. And I wanted to show you a plant that I don't remember planting it here, but I must have. It's right here, and it's closed up for the night. I'm going to pop up on the screen a picture that I took yesterday of it. I believe it's called Star of Bethlehem. And I read that it can be invasive. Let me know if you have that in your yard. I also wonder, though, if I just kind of keep it in check, like I have a small piece here, is it really invasive, or is it invasive because when you disturb the soil, you're moving the bulbs around? Well, I'm going to find out. When it comes to the roses, we cut the roses back really hard this year, and they seem to be responding okay to it. There are a lot of buds on this drift rose right here. And towards the center here, that is a type of coreopsis, and it's looking really pretty. I love the color of it. I just think it's very striking, especially in the evening hours. So pretty. We had planted some of the white wax begonias that I started from seed, and they're still quite small, so we just need to be patient as the weather starts to warm up. But I am thankful for the coreopsis, because if we didn't have the coreopsis, there wouldn't be a lot of color in here right now. The daffodils, I'm still leaving the foliage all around my yard, including in here. I'm going to wait until the foliage dies back before I cut them back. This area really has opened up quite a bit since we had a lot of trees removed. It's actually kind of fun to have an open area like this. I always say I live in the woods, and well, you can see there are a lot of trees, and there definitely are a lot of woods in the back there. But we've also been opening things up. Towards the back, we're placing wood chips just to kind of keep the forest at bay. And in this area here, that's where I plunked in a bunch of random different hydrangeas. There's beauty bush. There is a flowering almond. And then there's the Korean lilac. I would love to be able to dig these up and just start moving them down that way because there's opportunity there. It's pretty empty. Many of you have asked me about the hosta and how do I keep the deer away. Well, I haven't done it yet, but I need to. I like to take Irish Spring soap, and I buy it in bulk from like Sam's Club, but you can get it from maybe Costco if you have a Costco membership. Or if you only want to buy a few, you can buy them at Dollar Tree. I like to take it and shred it. You can cut it up in pieces, whatever you need to do, and sprinkle it around your hosta. The deer don't like the smell of it. I tried it last year and it did seem to work. So give that a try. Then there's also a lot of different repellents that you can even make, lots of DIY repellents for deer. If you have a repellent that you make or something that you use to repel deer, please drop it down in the comment section below to help me out as well as anyone else that's reading the comments. There are a lot of hosta here, and this area will be seeing change. Last year, Mr. Budget Gardener and I worked in the whole side here, and we stopped up to here. And what we did was I came in and I basically emptied out a whole bed. And then I replanted flowers or plants in here. I tried to do it so it was basically, like in this area, 3 lines. Then Mr. Budget Gardener came in here and he put in drip irrigation. So this is where we stopped, right here. So I'll be coming in here and I'll be doing the same thing. I'll come in and I'll weed, and see all these hosta here? These are actually the same as the hosta there. Now these look much larger, much more striking. That's because I came in and I divided them down. And I didn't worry so much about big, huge pieces. I ended up actually selling a lot of them as part of my plant nursery because in a year or two, these are all going to be big and huge. For this year, I don't know, I haven't decided, but when I at least take all of these out, I'm going to be moving them back. The reason I want to move them back is I want there to be opportunity between the front and the back. I want something in the center. And that's kind of what I did here. I have daffodils, I have astilbe, there's pulmonaria, there's hellebores, there's columbine, lots of great plants. They're still sleeping. Next year they'll creep, and then in another year after that, they'll leap. So as beautiful as this area looks, I do want to move the hosta back, even if I don't divide them up. And I want there to be opportunity in the center. And then we can also put in our drip irrigation. And when it comes to this area over here, I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. So I just wanted to give you an update. Even though this is a garden tour, I think it's important for you to know the changes that are coming so you can look forward to those. Okay, let's keep heading this way. One thing that I do love that I did towards the front here, you can see I continued with the heuchera, but the big thing I did was I made sure to alternate some light with dark colors. And I noticed that over here, there was a lot more of the dark colors, not enough of the light. So I love that pattern. You have that caramel color, and it just basically pops as your eye moves down this way. I want you to see some of the beautiful colors right here. In the distance, there's some purple iris looking so pretty, but then we have the pink of the coral bells, and then just towards the front, all the different colors of the coral bell foliage. I really love this angle right here. This flower bed is a couple of years old now. It has some really pretty things in it right now. We have the banana daiquiri, I believe it's called, geum, with the beautiful yellow. And then right behind it is mountain bluet, or centaurea. Look how striking that is. Now, it is considered invasive in some areas, so just be aware of that. But I just love that color combination right there. I think they are a wonderful companion to each other. And then right behind, you can see that I have some iris. I've had these iris for many years, so I don't know what kind they are, but I love them. I just think they're so pretty. And you can see that many of the same plants repeat themselves as we go this way. Towards the back of this bed, it would be sad if I didn't show you, is a type of weigela. And you can see that it's all budded up. So by the time we do our next garden tour, it should be blooming. And right near the weigela is a small, very small Japanese maple. It was taller, it was much bigger. Something happened. I think it got cut or broken. Regardless, it's actually looking very pretty. It's very sweet in its low habit. So maybe I should do something interesting with it or just leave it. I don't know. I am enjoying it even though it got cut off from the top. I have a little ring of hosta around this tree here. And again, you can see the beautiful iris popping in the background. This variegated iris has never bloomed for me. I think I need to lift it and just see if maybe I have it in there too deep, because I would love to see what color it is. And one of the reasons why there aren't more iris blooming in the back there is because I have the habit of dividing very often. So I'm going to leave these iris alone for a few years so that they can do what they need to do. But they are putting on a pretty spectacular show this year. I'm really, really enjoying them. There's not much happening in this flower bed right now. The creeping phlox is just starting to go over, but it really did put on a beautiful show when it bloomed. There are still some blooms on it, and I'm thankful for them. Otherwise, there really wouldn't be anything in this garden bed right now. Creeping phlox is a fun plant to put towards the front of a flower bed. I think it really just makes such a nice impact. Towards the back of this bed is an azalea. You can have azaleas that are more of a tree, and you can have small little like bushes or little shrubs. So it's quite small, but it really does have a beautiful flower on it. And right near the azalea is a weigela. I had transplanted it for my sister-in-law's. It was very large when I transplanted it. So it didn't die, but it set it back quite a bit. So you can see though, it is alive and it's putting on some blooms. I love that striking yellow color there. That's euonymus. It's really, really happy in this one space. Euonymus can be a little invasive, and I'm watching it, but it's behaving itself back here. And I love that color. Last year together, we had planted a bunch of this red color of heuchera at the base of this tree. So it's going to take a few years for it to really fill in nicely. We also planted a bunch of astilbe in this area here. So I'm being patient with all of that. More of the heuchera around that tree. And the annuals we planted in the ground here, we just need to wait. Enough said, it's the same story. We just have to wait. I will definitely keep showing it to you, but just wait until they pop. Here in the front yard, we're going to head up the hill to the front of my house. And we're heading towards what I call the bay window flower bed. This area gets full sun, and towards the front is the beautiful cranesbill geranium. It's in its glory. It's looking so pretty right now. I've been really good about dividing and moving this plant around. When the Stella d'Oro daylilies bloom behind it, it just looks so nice having both colors together. But while we wait for the Stella d'Oro daylilies to bloom, you can see that we have the beautiful color of the coreopsis to complement nicely with the cranesbill geranium. And it would be sad if I didn't mention how beautiful the lupin is looking. There are some wonderful iris nearby. In the next garden tour, I'll show you what they look like. Something new for this year was extending this flower bed just a little bit and then dividing a whole bunch of the cranesbill geranium and taking pieces of it and moving it along here. So eventually, all of these will be as big as that piece there, I would say by next year. When it comes to your cranesbill geranium, it's important to really prune them back hard once they're done blooming. Otherwise, they tend to get very leggy. I will put a link to a video where I show you my process for doing that. We are going to walk through, I should just call this Lupin Valley. There are so many lupin in here, and at this point, I think I'm just going to let them go. I think I have to. And just let this become one big lupin field. Of course, this is where my septic tank is, but that's okay. So let's look at the lupin, shall we? We have to enjoy it when it's in bloom. There are so many buds on the lupin plant. I've heard that as soon as the flower starts to just barely go by, you want to deadhead it so that it continues blooming for you. I've never done that, so I'm going to try that this year, and I'll let you know how that goes. Usually by now my pond is running, the fountain is running. Well, it hasn't happened yet, and that's okay. It is totally okay. It looks pretty the way it is without the fountain running, and it will look pretty once I clean it. I just want to show you what it looks like. There are a ton of mini hosta all around it. There is this invasive weed that I need to do something about it, but we'll just ignore that. And some beautiful shade-loving plants in here that are really adding a nice color in here. The blue flowers are Jacob's ladder. We have heuchera, that's the red. We have a type of grass. If I can find the name, I'll pop it up on the screen. As we wait for annuals to get planted up along the front walkway, I want you to just see there is color in here. And that's really important. If you're like me and you like to add annuals in your landscape and you're waiting for the weather to warm up, you're waiting for whatever, maybe you just had a bad year and you didn't get to things in your yard, it's important to also have those perennials just to give you that color while you wait. And I'm very thankful for this. My annuals will get added, but I'm not in a rush. It will happen when it happens. Here is my pansy holding bed. It's definitely looking a little tired now, even though it is putting out some color still. The pansies are looking tired, but I need to let them go to seed. I want them to go to seed so that they can continue growing for me for next year. So we're just going to keep looking at them until then. And I'm also going to be putting together some pots with dahlias And I'll show you my process for doing that. And those pots will get placed in this flower bed. Speaking of dahlias, here are just some of the dahlias where I overwintered their tubers in my garage. They are looking fantastic. In fact, some of them already have buds on them, which I'm thrilled about. Here's one of my rolling carts with a whole bunch of plants on it. And if we go around, and I'm not going to do a tour of them because there's just so many. Here are some more plants. I see you little snapdragons. These will be placed up along my front walkway. And right here is my first dahlia in bloom. It's just in a small little 3-inch pot, and it desperately needs to be planted inside of a container pot, like everything else here. I would just want to show you a few things down in my nursery, because there are some things that are blooming here that look really pretty. And this will be quick. I just want to focus on anything that has some sort of color on it. So we have chives that are blooming. We have the alpine strawberries that are blooming. And then the beautiful chocolate chip ajuga. They're not blooming, but they will be pretty soon. The oxeye Shasta daisy. There is a beautiful type of primula or primrose. And that's not for sale, that's for me. I'm just holding it down here. These were looking a little sad earlier. I did give them a good drink of water and they bounced back. This is a type of perennial geranium. And then right near it is a pink flowering ajuga. I noticed that the Zagreb coreopsis or threadleaf coreopsis is budded up. So I think maybe by our next garden tour, they'll be blooming. I don't have this anywhere in my landscape. I used to, I just don't anymore. And I do want to add it, but I want to think very hard about where I'm going to put it. A bunch of my yarrow is budded up. They're either a pink color, like a hot pink color, or a white color. I have another kind of yarrow down here. I believe the name is Moonshine. And that's for me also. That's not for sale. So I'll be planting that up in my long flower border. There is a bunch of penstemon that is budded up. Oh, I can't wait to go shopping in my plant nursery. There are a lot of goodies out here. They all came from my yard, but they're in that weedy area in my backyard. Now I can take these and put them in the nicer areas that are not so weedy. And look at the bigroot geranium. I think the other name is macrorrhizum, something like that. So pretty. I used to have this up along my driveway on the right. So now I don't have it anywhere in my yard, but in my plant nursery. I do want to add this back in my yard. I told you I have a tendency to basically pull out plants from areas and then redo sections. This is another plant that I pulled out and it needs to come back in my yard. This is called lady's mantle. You can see that there are some blooms on a few of them. There is some beautiful weigela that's tucked in there. Like I said, I really need to just come out here and shop my own nursery because there are plants that I temporarily put down here. We have another beautiful type of perennial geranium. And yes, I pulled these aside because I don't want to sell them. I have some more iris. I just don't know what they're going to look like, so I'm waiting for them to bloom so that I know. Here's a beautiful euphorbia. This originally came from my mother-in-law's, and I like it, but what I don't like about it is if you let it go to seed, it ends up going everywhere. So that's why it's in my nursery. I'm thinking a little bit about it and where I'm going to place it. And I just want to show you there are some more iris that are down here that I'm waiting for them to bloom so I can see what they look like. I'm almost sure these ones are the ones that I have up in my long border. And if they are, I'm snagging them. I really hope you enjoyed this garden tour. I'd love to know what is blooming in your yard right now. Let me know in the comment section below. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.